no idea what you're talking about. If you expected Javier showing CRJ 200 modeling work, then this is the wrong stream. Javier's stream is over at YouTube live streaming, and his account is Japo32. So if you want to see Javier doing the modeling of the plane, then you should check out his channel on YouTube. And what you see here, this is still the old model. So if you look at the model, there's absolutely no change compared to what you are used to seeing in X-Plane 10 or X-Plane 11 if you have the CRJ in your X-Plane. So the model is still the same. If you want to see what the new model looks like, all the new modeling that Javier has done, you should check out his YouTube channel. And I'm still waiting for an export for an X-Plane file to use. So all my work currently is still done in the old model. So a lot of animations don't work yet correctly, but Javier is working away. Javier is doing a lot of work to improve the model and incorporate all the changes that we need for the V2 version. So for example, Javier has already animated and modeled all the circuit breakers down here in the panel. He's completely redone the panel and animated every single circuit breaker. So right now, of course, in the old model, there's nothing for me to click here. So none of these do anything when clicked. But as soon as I have Javier's latest export, also the animation of all those breakers should work, including the ones here in the back. So for the time while Javier hasn't exported this yet, for the time being, I have to resort to data rest, controlling the data rest directly for all the knobs that aren't animated yet, and using my rest interface for controlling the circuit breakers that aren't animated yet. And also, as you can see here, the reflections are not correct. Apparently it wants to reflect the outside of the plane, which is of course wrong. Inside the cockpit you should get a reflection of the inside. For example, in the CDU you should actually see a reflection of the overhead panel. Yeah. So while the model is still in the making, I can only work with this. Alright, I wanted to test a couple of things that I already tested a little bit yesterday, the day before yesterday, while I was live streaming to YouTube. And I'm going to run some of the tests again after a couple of changes that I made in the software today. Alright. Alright, first thing I'm going to do again is the brake temperature test and the ground lift dumpers GLD. So this is the switch beside the spoiler lever that allows you to change the setting for the ground lift dumpers. There's 3 settings for this switch: manual, automatic, and disarm. And the way it works, if it's set to automatic, it will work pretty much as you would expect on landing. So if you drop down onto the runway, retard the throttles, then the ground lift dumpers will pop up and provide downforce and provide air braking. In fact, you can trick the CRJ. You can test this system by using the radial altimeter test buttons. It's hard to do that in the actual cockpit. You need two people because you need to press the radial altimeter test buttons on both sides of the cockpit for the captain and for the first officer, and you can't really do that if you're alone in the cockpit. So basically what you do is you press both radar altitude test buttons that send the test signal from the radar altimeter that says that you are at 200 feet, and then you let go of the test button and you do this with the throttle. And what then happens is the radial altimeter drops down from 200 to 0 because the test stops, and if you at the same point move the throttles back, I mean with the engines not running on the ground, this is a test that you can perform with the engines not running, then you trick the system into believing, oh, I just did a landing, and it pops up the ground lift dumpers. And as soon as Javi has given me wired up the data ref for the AR test button, we can actually do this. I'm not really sure how we could do this with clicking two buttons at the same time and letting go of them at the same time. Certainly my intention is for this simple test to work, but I have to come up with a way how you can like click both buttons at the same time. One button obviously is here on the side panel, and this one, and the other one is over here on this side. Can't really click both of them at the same time. Alright, so this is automatic mode. You can of course disable the automatic mode if you just pull it back and man disarm, and then you get the corresponding enunciation here on the status display that the ground lift dumpers are now disarmed. So if you touch down, nothing will happen. If you do a rejected takeoff, nothing will happen. And you can manually arm them in the air, and if you use the manual arm on the ground, they will actually extend, and you can see that here if you change to the flight control page, and if I now move the switch to the manual position, they will actually extend. So you can see the ground spoilers are the inboard, two most inboard or foremost inboard spoiler panels here. That one and that one is the flight spoiler, and the outermost obviously are the spoiler arm. And if I do this, they all come up. Yeah, this is an animation we need to fix in the actual plane. This lever doesn't come back actually, because this lever controls the flight spoilers, but I don't think it's motorized in the actual plane. So for the model, we need to redo the animation for this, and this is something I'm obviously going to do with Javi. So for now, we go to man disarm. Everything disarms. All the spoilers are retracted, and we put it back into auto now, so everything is armed. And I'm now going to do the rejected takeoff test. So I put the plane into mode for takeoff, lower the flaps, turn on the flight director in takeoff mode, and a couple of other things. The trim needs to be in the green, the parking brake released obviously, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to accelerate down the runway to about 100 knots, then I'll cut the throttle, step on the brakes, and obviously what you will see when I do the rejected takeoff, you should see the spoilers coming up, and while I brake from the rejected takeoff, the brakes will get hot, and this is what we're going to do now. So we seem to have a problem with the oil temperature. status page. Oh, by the way, after a while there's a certain logic to it. When the speed drops below a certain limit and a certain timeout rolls by, all the spoilers come down again automatically after some time. So they should do that pretty soon, and then you can take a look at the. There you go. Now they retracted. That's right. If I run onto the status page, we can see we've driven up the brake temperatures here. Actually, in the white zone, and this is going to stay white even though even when the temperature drops back down again, until we press the overheat reset button that is here on the center. All right, and the brake temperature is an actual physical model that tracks how many energy we dissipate using the brakes. And for the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the GLD into the disarm mode so that they don't come up, and we're going to dissipate all the energy of the takeoff into the wheel brakes, into the disc brakes, without using the air brakes, and that will give us an even higher rise of the brake temperature. So I'm going to use let's see how much runway we actually have left here. I mean the runway 18 for takeoff only, and it's very high. So let's see what we can do. APR arm. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So for now, again, we'll do a takeoff run, but this time I'll do the disarm here. During the takeoff, we'll get a master caution that alerts us that we should have the GLD armed, but we haven't, so you'll hear the ping of the master caution, and the yellow message will pop up. So, and then again, I will cut the throttle, step on the brakes, and we're going to dissipate all the energy of the rejected takeoff into the wheel brakes. That should give us a nice breakover temperature. So here we go. So takeoff config is okay, but we'll get the warning on there you go, GLD not armed. One temperature in the red already, 2 in the red, and that should give us a nice master run. There you go.
Brakes.
Hopefully you can hear actually audio alert. And I'm going to click the master warning button, and that of course silences the aural alert. I'm going to quit the master portion, and yeah. Alright, and now there's nothing for us to do but wait for actually several hours for the brakes to cool off again. Another thing that we could do is we could take off, which we cannot legally do with these brake temperatures right now, because you've always been prepared to make a rejected takeoff, and of course with this kind of brake temperatures you could never do a rejected takeoff. So any takeoff attempt at this point would be, don't do it. But if we took off now and just left the gear hanging out in the airstream, we could actually cool the brakes down. The brake temperatures here would drop, but the red and yellow boxes would persist until we press the reset button. what happens if you take off now and you retract the gear with those insanely hot brakes? Yeah, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Alright. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give us a little bit more runway again. And, there we go. We'll go back to normal takeoff mode. I'll put the spoilers in the norm position again, and of course all real pilots look away, because what I'm going to do now is very bad. Don't take off with brake temperatures like that.
Bay, overheat.
There you go. So
Zero Bay, overheat.
We now
Zero Bay, overheat. Zero Bay, overheat.
Very easy.
Zero Bay, overheat.
Silence this alarm, and I just drop the gear back down. On the runway 18. There we go.
100.
That was not what I was trying to do. Okay. Well, I'm going to. Well, then let's just reset the plugin instead. That should do it. What's the bid? 14942. Bam, gone. Restart. There you go. Alright. That's good. So, disarm, back to auto, this stuff, on there. Alright, reset. The other thing I was talking about was APR arm. What does that mean? So, what we can do down here is we can perform a test of the automated power recovery. See that it tests out okay. Make sure the switch, this one is the arm position. And now we are going to have, I will give us an engine failure after takeoff, and then you can see what APR does. Alright, flight director Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce engine failure, or actually it's sufficient if I just retard one truck and what I'm going to do. I'm going to retard the engine number 1, and I want you to watch here in one indicator what happens to engine number 2 while I take back engine number 1. So you see an indication here that says APR, and suddenly the power of engine number 2 magically increased. Now I step the rudder really hard, now because right. Alright, so the APR has given us the additional power that we need in this situation on the engine that is working, and that is what it does. It arms during takeoff, and when we do this armed after takeoff configuration, since it's a power loss, one engine increases the power on the one. So that's the arm. Okay, I'm going to bring the other engine back up, and then Alright, and now we're going to do the other generator as well. And the address generator. Oh, that dropped out. As you can see, several stuff not working anymore, like co-pilot display dropped off, and co-pilot radio unit has dropped off. And as you can see, we now lost the AC buses, only the essential bus powered. The ADG bus supplies power hydraulic pump, and down here on DC section you can see that essentially powers the essential bus on the battery bus. So there's the two contactors here that allow reading both the essential and battery bus. And the direct bus is obviously since there's no charges for the battery. Direct bus drain their respective batteries. So let's see what else we lost. We lost here for the left static for the right static port. Lost control over the wing APIs. Let's see, one of the steps should still work. Yeah, we have one of the steps. One of the steps that work. We have one of the yaw dampers. Steering in off, I guess because we lost hydraulic system. Right fuel pump no longer working. Why is the right engine still working? Well, if the fuel, as long as the engine is running, fuel pressure is supplied by the ejector pump. So as long as the engine is running, it's running, but we couldn't restart it because the right fuel pump, the right electric fuel pump there was no longer supplied with pressure. Yeah, we lost electrical driven hydraulic pumps for 1 and 2. It doesn't matter really because the engine driven hydraulic pump still works and the center pump is driven by the ADG bus. Total air temperature sensor probe, right POE, right AOA, right windshield heat, left windshield heat, flaps failure, yes, and 200 the flaps are electrically driven, not hydraulically driven as in other airplanes. And the CRJ 700 and 900 have emergency electric flat drive that can be powered from the AC bus. The 200 doesn't have this, so yeah, of course, AC buses are offline, obviously, we know that. Generators are offline, obviously. And over on the step page, so we have lost one stabilizing channel, one door number, brake temperature monitor, flight data recorder, the number 2 ice detection. Exhaust for one of the avionics coolers, and of course battery charger. I'm wondering that the avionics cooling I can switch that to a different bus if I'm not mistaken, but not entirely sure. No, the one does not work at all. So now I hear it completely. That's not good. So no, this fan is currently still working, and the display fan should also work as long as I don't switch it over to all. Now I have the display cool warning. If I kept flying like this, I would get overheat warning really soon. Yeah, but in this mode we could actually go home. And of course the ADG is animated, so if you look out the cockpit window here, you can actually see down here. Flaps open and plate propeller. Alright, so that was brake temperature, gear bay overheat, lift dumping system and interrupt generator and an ATR, and this is about all that I wanted to test tonight. So I guess that completes my little tour of some of the new systems in V2. And if you want to see the development of the actual model, then to Javi's